I was able to learn about this focus because when I was in prison, I decided that either I was going to fight every day, every minute, every second that I was in there in order to get out, or I was going to do every single day trying to accomplish that goal. Welcome to the In and Out Podcast, where I have dope conversations with extraordinary people about overcoming incredible hardship, pain, and struggle. I created this podcast because I understand that there's amazing people out there who have incredible stories that they've overcome. They beat the longest odds, they've overcome the most incredible circumstances, and they're doing incredible things every day. So many of those people, they go unheard. So many of those people are hidden. So many of those people are not able to share their stories of incredible success, of raising their families, of coming home, of having nothing. And I wanted people to be able to share those stories with so many of you out there, because I know that none of us are perfect. And I understand that when people can see others that have been where they've been, that look like they look, and are doing things that they aspire to do, it can help so many people pull themselves up and realize that just because you've made a mistake, just because you've fallen, just because you're in a certain situation, it's never going to define you. I understand that those stories need to be heard so that people will know that no matter where you're at in life, there's more chapters to be written to your story. One of the things that happened to me several years ago is I was taken away from my family and locked up. I was in a physical prison. But that physical prison also came about because of a mental prison that I was at. I was given a 12.5-year sentence, 151 months to be exact. And when I was locked up in that cage, in that transport vehicle, my life was totally different. It was at that moment when I really began to soul search. I really began to think about, how do I want to be defined when I'm not here anymore? How do I want my children to be able to see me? There were so many questions that I had. So I understand what it's like to be in a deep, deep, dark hole. And there was two things that was going to happen. It was one or two. I was either going to come out bitter or better. I had never been to prison before, and it was a shock to my conscience. It was a shock to my very existence. I had 4 children and a wife, and I was taken off the streets, and I knew I was facing more time than I really thought that I would be able to do. And I was on a journey that it seemed like it would never end. And all of us will have a defining moment in their lives, I believe. And for me, that was a defining moment. And I have my story, but when I came out on the other end of that journey, and actually one that I'm still going on, I understood and I realized that there's so many of us that have felt pain, that are feeling pain, and that will go through pain. And so I want to share my story, but I also want to be a platform for others to be able to share their story. Because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of stories out there. And those stories need to be heard. And as I meet more people and they share their stories with me, I'm more encouraged every day. Because there's some of the most incredible stories. I meet some of the most amazing people. I've met homeless people. I've met people that have been taken away from their families as I was and placed in a physical prison. I've met people that have struggled with all different types of addictions. I've met people that have been in and out of relationships. And to each one of them I say, your story is still being written. So never give up. One of the things that I learned is that when we have incredible focus, we can accomplish anything. And one of the things that it takes to have incredible focus is to have a goal, to have a vision, to have a dream, and to know exactly where you want to go. When you know where you're going, there's no such things as distractions. Distractions don't exist. So it's very important for us to be able to define what we want to do. And then we start to develop a roadmap. And once we get on that roadmap, we can develop focus. And we can have laser focus. I was able to learn about this focus because when I was in prison, I decided that either I was going to fight every day, every minute, every second that I was in there in order to get out, or I was going to do every single day trying to accomplish that goal. And that's when I established and I developed a focus, a laser focus like a laser beam that I had never had before. And honestly, truth be told, while getting myself in prison was one of my worst moments and lowest moments, getting myself out was one of my biggest achievements. And it was only possible because I was able to develop a laser focus. I spent over 6 million minutes in federal prison. And there wasn't a day that went by and I didn't miss my family. And I used that family, my children and my wife, my parents, my siblings. I used that as a springboard to help me focus. And I was able to get into a type of focus that I had never been before. I wasn't smoking weed anymore. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't addicted to female. And if I was, I couldn't do anything about it because I was in prison. I was around 1,000 men. Those things helped me get and develop a mindset that I was going to get out of prison or I was going to die trying. And I was able to take what I learned with me. And I'm able to use that laser focus now that I'm in the free world. It's like having muscle memory. Because now I know that if I put my mind into something, if I put a singular focus to anything that I want to accomplish, I had the confidence to know that I can do it. Because I just reversed back to when I was in prison, when I was big, when I was in there and the only thing that mattered was getting out. So I spent 18 to 19 to 20 hours a day working on my case. And after 6 years, 4 months, and 2 days, I walked out of federal prison. After I worked on my own case, wrote my own briefs, represented myself pro se, and got back into court, I was able to get all my convictions overturned. And I was able to get immediate release out of the most conservative circuit in the United States of America. I married you all.